Hi, hand readers, Jennifer here. Today's topic is endings of minor earth lines. Those are the fate lines or the destiny lines or the Saturn line or the career line. All our lines in our hands have several names. And today we talk a little bit about the influence of the termination point on how to interpret these lines. I've put together a series of images, each of which depicts a possible potential ending. So I will be showing you a lot of pictures today. In this first image, we see a minor earth line that ends on the Saturn mount. The Saturn mount is, of course, the mount that sits underneath the middle finger or the earth finger or the Saturn finger. When minor earth lines are fully formed like this one, they flow from their point of commencement right up to the base of this middle finger. This does show this clear division between the subjective and the objective personal experience. So I like to think of this as the person's personal needs and external obligations being fairly clearly defined, depending, of course, on the airline, the headline that is, and other criteria in the hand. But when a minor earth line ends deep into the Saturn mount like this, it is a positive feature. It does add strength of character and will draw on Saturnian characteristics, for example, being stable, being ordered, being responsible, being well adapted, having an active and committed work ethic which will last until the end of a person's days. And then there's an acceptance of their karmic destiny, we might say, and an acceptance and adaptability to traditional values. In this second image, the minor earth line not only goes over the Saturn mount, but actually runs over the metacarpal phalangeal joint, which is the base of the finger, right into the base of the middle finger, the earth finger. The primary minor earth line is colored in orange, and you can see where it goes running over the Saturn mount into the finger. And then you'll notice also a secondary minor earth line, or several of them, that I've done in yellow. So Saturn gets accented here. The weight of responsibility is a life theme and a lesson for this person. I would say that when you get a minor earth line that literally runs into the finger, the feature implies restriction or entrapment to duty. I do see this a lot on our South African black population, who are often extremely burdened with responsibility and financial struggle. In this next image, which is not the best handprint in the world, but you can still clearly see how the minor earth line curves radially. And when I say radially, it curves towards the thumb side of the hand and ends on the Jupiter mount. The Jupiter mount is, of course, the protuberance of flesh underneath the index or Jupiter finger or the water finger in our 5-element system. And this would highlight opportunity for the person. It would aspect in their life the gaining of influence, the gaining of status. Privileges might come to them. This person aims to be high profile or to be in the public eye. It does signify a strong ambitious streak, a strong desire for success, as well as acquisition of wealth being likely. In the 5-element system, this is the fire quadrant, this section of the hand underneath the index finger. And as we know in nature, fire reaches its flames upward, and that gives us a metaphor for the kind of outreach and extroversion of people who have a minor earth line that pulls radially towards the Jupiter mount and ends on the Jupiter mount. There's an energy for outreach, and the person is opportunistic, certainly will have an eye for opportunity. On rare occasions, you'll find a minor earth line that ends slightly closer towards the Sun mount or the Apollo mount, which is the protuberance of flesh that sits underneath the ring finger, which is the fire finger in our 5-element system. And this suggests a playfulness in the person, a pull towards creativity, perhaps less sobriety and more optimism. I would say if other features support this, that there'd be also, it would add some vitality to the person, as well as perhaps a sense of the dramatic. In this image, we find a minor earth line that ends on a water line. It ends on the heart line, in other words. And here we have emotional issues hampering the person's career. There's self-doubt, there's low self-worth, there's a feeling of lack of fulfillment. Perhaps even they feel redundant in their profession. It could be that extreme. Remember, this line, the water line, the heart line, governs emotions. And when the line blocks the path of the career, we see emotional issues blocking that career, and there could be very deep emotional issues Of course, one needs to cross-reference the hands, as I always say. There's so many other criteria, features which would aspect, markings that would aspect a low self-esteem, a sense of self-doubt. But we could at least find a clue here that the person has some difficulties that are emotional in their source. Perhaps they're even longing for early retirement. That's another common meaning here. And that personal relationships rule their business decisions. And lastly today, here's an image of a minor earth line that ends on the air line or the headline. If you've been watching my videos, you'll know that I'm more steeped in the 5 element system, so I like to refer to the lines and all the features as having an element rulership. So the air line is the headline. It governs our thinking, our intellect. And here the person might have been very productive at a younger age, but now mental blocks are hampering their success. There are mental factors that are prohibitive, that are preventing fulfillment of their true potential. Here we might find that the person has unclear goals, unclear plans for their future. Another meaning suggests early retirement, again, but similar to the meaning above when it ends on the waterline. Or it could show redundancy, being retrenched, or even illness. It could show that the person is bored with their tasks or their jobs, with a lot of rules, restrictions, and responsibility involved. So that brings in this sort of mental faculty, this mental thinking about it, and they're feeling that they're unstimulated. Because it conjuncts with air, and air is all about independence and breathing and space, this person would likely do better in a job working for themselves than they would for others. I've now shared the basic possible endings for this line and how their termination points will influence your interpretation. It's such a mishmash of how to blend in all your different meanings. That's, as I always say, that's where the intuition comes through. I call it the thread of intuition, and how we weave together our interpretations based on our fundamental premises of where does it begin, where does it end, and then we'll still be looking into the form and the flow of it and the various markings on this line in future videos. I do offer very interesting and successful online readings. If you'd like to get in touch with me about that, you're so welcome to contact me. You'll find my info at the end of the video. I also teach 2 wonderful possible courses. The one is 9 lessons, the other is 18 lessons. The 9-lesson course is particularly useful if you want to add to your existing toolkit. Perhaps you're working in a therapeutic capacity in some way and you'd like to learn to look at people's hands and include that in your assessment, in your conversation with your clients. And the 18-lesson course that I offer is what I call the full practitioner training course, and it gives you a very deep insight indeed as to how to read hands. So you can contact me for all the information. And next week I'll be talking about missing minor earth lines. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you then. Bye for now.